I am a 26-year-old female full-time employee with a rather hectic schedule. I have a large social group and quite a few familial responsibilities that demand my time and attention. Despite this, I make an effort to prioritize my friendships, including my friendship with this particular friend. We usually meet at least once a week and spend a couple of hours together. However, my friend, who is 28 years old and female, has a different situation. She doesn't have a job and her family is quite small, which means she has a lot of free time on her hands. Lately, she has been doubting our relationship, questioning whether I'm tired of her or bored during our time together. We've known each other since childhood, but became particularly close friends in 2020. When I asked her about her doubts, she explained that she feels I don't spend enough time with her. She also sometimes blames my family for asking me to come home and help with various tasks and responsibilities. To accommodate her wishes, I've already prioritized her over other friend groups, but it's becoming quite exhausting for me. For instance, just yesterday we went out for breakfast and spent around 4 hours together at a local fair. However, when my mother called and asked me to pick up my 16-year-old brother, I had to end our outing for the day. She suggested alternatives like my brother taking a cab or calling another sibling for help. And she still asked if I was bored of her when I told her that it is not possible. Additionally, whenever I visit her, I stay for slightly over 2 hours. When it's time to say goodbye, she often asks me to stay longer, questioning if it's because I'm hungry or something. Even when I insist on leaving, she mentions that she visits me for longer hours and feels I'm always in a hurry to leave. I genuinely care about this friendship, and I don't want to hurt her feelings. However, I'm also aware that I can't continue at this pace, and it's taking a toll on me. I am already giving as much as I can in this relationship, but it's still not enough for her. However, I cannot do more than I already am. I am already spending most of my free time with her, with the price being some of my other relationships and responsibilities. I don't want her to doubt our friendship because I truly value her and want to stay by her side, but I want her to know how much effort I'm giving and want her to stop the doubt and insecurities. So will I be the jerk if I tell her that she needs to make more friends because I cannot keep up with her social needs? Now here are the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot, but I wouldn't outright say that she needs more friends. That's just plain rude and would make you TA. Just be honest and say that you have more obligations than she does and it takes up a lot of her schedule, that you physically cannot prioritize her any more than you're already doing. Even though sometimes people see the things around them, they may not actually realize it until it's pointed out to them. Maybe suggest her trying to find a nearby club she can participate in, or doing classes or something. My small city has clubs of all sorts. There's a pigeon club, a miniature making club, and God knows how many cooking and sewing classes there are. I'd be careful to word this in a way that isn't go out and meet people, and try to frame it as here are some things to do when I'm not around. Because then, in her mind, it's 1. Keeping busy until she can hang out with you next. 2. She meets people as a result of going to these places. If she reacts poorly to saying you have other obligations, though, it may be best to rethink the friendship. Comment 2. Not the idiot. I don't think there is any amount of time that you can spend with a person like this that would make her happy. She is being so wildly clingy and unreasonable that I would really consider whether in fact you should take a proper break from hanging out with her. At the very least, start picking up your other friendships and make arrangements to spend time with your friends and family. Be less available to her. If she asks why, say bluntly that you felt she was being unreasonably possessive of your time and it's annoying you and making you need a break from her. Comment 3. Not the idiot. You need to sit her down and tell her the whole truth. Your life doesn't and should never revolve around her. You have work, family, and other friend commitments that equal or exceed your commitment to her. You have tried to prioritize her requirements to your own detriment. Let her know you cannot go on like this, and she needs to broaden her social life and not rely solely on you for her social life. Now, for the next story. I, 32-year-old female, have been at my company now for about 4 years. There are many work functions which I am particularly not a fan of, introvert, but I manage because I like to cook and bake. I will usually bring a dessert to the functions. This is almost always during work hours. Everyone has told me they like the brownies I make, the cakes, pies, cookies, etc. We just had one of these functions 2 weeks ago, and one of my coworkers, 45-year-old female, just said, "I am very selfish and don't think of her when making desserts." This woman has diabetes, and I've known this for maybe 1 year because she has to tell everyone. She said I could try and make some sugar-free desserts from now on. I told her that I've never done that before and don't plan to start, and maybe she can just bring her own desserts on these occasions. She said she was shocked that I wouldn't grant her requests. I'm sorry, but I'm not your personal chef or bakery. Why would I change my recipes to cater to one coworker? So am I the idiot for telling her that I will not make sugar-free desserts? And just FYI, I have an ulcer and steer clear of spicy, acidic, and fried foods. I certainly don't go around making requests or ask her specifically to make a dish that follows my diet. Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. Not the jerk. She approached things way wrong. However, things like stevia are not much more than sugar nowadays and are very easy to work with and could actually be healthier for everyone and tend not to make much difference in taste. I know it's not up to you to accommodate one person, but it's not a huge shift. Personally, I have celiac and have to eat gluten-free. And while I will often eat before I go or bring something, sometimes it feels bad to walk into something at work and not be able to eat anything or just a few things because no one thinks of you. I don't expect them to. But when I went to a cousin's birthday party and expected to just eat a plate of chips because they were doing pizza, and she brought out a gluten-free pizza she had ordered along with the regular pizzas, it made me feel good. She was definitely a jerk if she came at you that hard. Had she approached you and asked if you had ever made sugar-free desserts because she knew everyone loved your stuff, but she could never try it, and maybe even offered to buy ingredients if you would be willing to make something, since you said you do like to bake, I think it would have gone much further and you would have likely been more willing to try doing sugar-free next time. For instance, I am a good cook baker and have been approached to do sugar-free desserts for our family dinners, but they approached me nicely about it, didn't demand it, and bought the sweetener for me to use. Comment 2. Not the jerk. Easy fix. Refrain from bringing dessert to a company potluck. Problem solved. I never ate at company potlucks because I never trusted my coworkers to prepare the food in a clean kitchen. Especially the people who used to joke about their cats on the counter and the dogs jumping up trying to get a taste of dinner. Comment 3. Not the jerk, but also I'm married to a diabetic, and if you want to address her complaints without engaging in extra work, sugar-free Jell-O. She needs 0 carb if she's diabetic, not just sugar-free, so a Jell-O bowl costs about 60 to 70 cents for a store brand. Now for the next story. My landlord rents out the unit next to mine as an Airbnb. It's an old building, so there are problems with creaking floors and thin walls, which compounds noise from Airbnb guests who make noise extremely early in the morning or middle of the night. Also seems like many people don't know how to close doors while turning the handle, which often wakes us up when doors are slammed in the middle of the night. Our landlord has rules and signs in place reminding guests of quiet hours, however, last night was the worst. The guests arrived late, talked, packed, walked back and forth on creaking floors. At 12:30, I knocked on the door and asked them to be quiet, reminding them of the time. They said okay, but only quieted their voices. Thankfully, they seemed to sleep at 1:30. But every hour or so, they'd get up to go to the bathroom, which included the stomping over creaking floors and the aforementioned poor door-closing habit. Then, at 3:50, the first alarm goes off, and again every hour until they finally get up at 6 and start gathering their bags by opening the hallway door and dragging their luggage into the hallway one by one. Thanks to the slightly cavernous nature of the hallway, their activity inside and outside the unit is amplified. At this point, I had enough and went to their open door, angrily telling them to hurry up and get out. Now I feel bad because I get along well with my landlord, and I'm sure these guests will leave a bad review. I also plan on being more confrontational with noisy guests in the future, which will probably add more bad reviews. But I feel like the landlord is profiting off my sleep deprivation, and I just want to have a livable home. Am I wrong? Am I expecting too much? I feel like long-term tenant neighbors would have a better, more normal sleep and noise schedule than tourists. It's stressful hearing a guest arrive and not knowing whether I'll have a good or bad night's sleep. Edit. I'm surprised at how many "just move LOL" posts there are during a time when affordable housing is unattainable for many. What if I don't have the money to just move? Now here are the comments. Comment 1. As someone pointed out, look up local ordinances on short-term rentals. Most places do not allow it within residential buildings. Don't talk to your landlord, just make an anonymous report, not the idiot. You have the right to sleep in a long-term rental. Their vacation does not supersede that. If your building does have quiet hours visibly posted, they are definitely in the wrong as well. Short-term does not negate posted signs or building rules. Even if the listing doesn't have it, if it's on a sign in the building, they have an obligation to respect that. Comment 2. You're the idiot. It doesn't sound they were doing anything out of the ordinary. Not their fault. The walls are thin and the floor is creaky. You've been so rude to address them, especially the hurry up and get out part. I can promise you can fare almost just as poorly with a regular tenant. What if they have insomnia, work night shift, make love, have a baby? Consider moving somewhere with better sound insulation? Edit. Now your landlord is an AH too, for making it an Airbnb despite must having had a clear idea what a nuisance it is for the neighbors. Comment 3. Now I feel bad because I get along well with my landlord, and I'm sure these guests will leave a bad review. That's karma for the landlord. You say you have a good relationship with him, but he is not respecting your right to have a peaceful and livable home environment, which you're paying him for so he can cash in. That doesn't sound like a good relationship to me. I don't know where you live, but in my city, there are rules against this. Find out if there's any official action you can take. Not the idiot. Now, for the next story. My wife really hates that I don't tell people the whole truth about where my grandparents are from. In the past, I've had some people react oddly and in some cases be somewhat discriminatory after telling them my father's family is Polish. Typical Polish joke stuff, but it bothered me, I must admit. Before she died, my grandmother happened to mention that actually, our family had only been in Poland for a couple of generations and had been forced to move from France in the Napoleonic Wars, which apparently many had to. As a result, I've taken to simply telling people that I'm French when asked what my ancestry is, as my mother's side of the family is French as well. For some reason, this bothers my wife to no end, to the point where she'll actively challenge me when I answer this way in front of others by saying things like, "Why don't you tell them where you're really from?" This has caused some conflict in our relationship as I believe it's nobody's business what my background is, and I'm free to answer in any way I choose, not to mention that my answer is technically true. Am I the jerk? Now here are the comments. Comment 1. Okay, first, saying you are French because your family came from France 200 years ago is even sillier than Americans who claim to be Irish because their ancestor came over during the famine. There comes a point where you have to claim the soil you're from, not the soil you want. Second, I'm admittedly curious about the Polish jokes. My maternal grandfather's family was from Poland. And no, I don't claim to be Polish. Or Czech, maternal grandmother. Or German, paternal grandmother. Or Irish for that matter, paternal great-grandmother. Even if all of the above are technically true. Finally, if you don't want to tell people where your family is from, learn to redirect and distract people. Or just flat out say it's no one's business but yours. Better than telling a rather odd and self-serving lie. You're the idiot, though I'm saying that in a half-hearted way. What an odd way to deal with your internalized dislike of your family origins. Comment 2. Not the idiot. I answer this question with, I am a typical American mutt. If people insist, I answer, well, it is not all known, but if you're asking about culture, I grew up Irish and Italian Catholic, if that helps. Or you could flat out tell people that Polish jokes are really effing offensive after you tell them the story about your family fleeing the Napoleonic Wars. Comment 3. It sounds like there are a lot of people asking about your heritage. Why? My father's family came from Poland, emigrated to Hungary, and then came to the US. And I'm proud of that. There are jokes about every race, nationality, and color, and sometimes the funniest ones are about a group I belong to. Lighten up. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.